his name to me. Like when we were talking on this earlier, I was like, I know that guy. And then I looked it up, and I was like, I don't know that guy at all.
Yeah, it's funny.
I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Oldroyd is the
yeah.
D
So I always say, and this is funny, the head coach here just gave me a lot of stick for it. I always say, like, it's like Android, like the Android phones, like replace the AM with OL. It's like Oldroid. So
okay, Oldroid.
But he's like, it's not even the same spelling. I'm like, well, it kind of sounds the same because he's got all the, you when they do it on the roster where they have the kind of the how you pronounce it, that kind of stuff. And this is all over the place because he's Swedish. So I'm like, well, yours is not really how they spell either. So
makes sense. Oldroid. So like Android. Oldroid.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I think that's perfect. I think that's amazing. It took me like 25 years to do that.
Well, put my college education to use. So
yeah.
Alrighty here. Any like things specifically you want us to make sure that we cover?
No, nothing from my standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all yours.
Like I said, as long as you can talk about yourself, talk about soccer, and make a joke here and there, and have some fun, it'll be easy.
I've got to follow in Ian Henry's footsteps, so we'll see.
that may be tough to do. The poor guy was so worried. The next day, after did we record that on Tuesday night, Nick?
Yes.
Okay. The poor guy bugging me all the next day. Oh my God, it's going to sound horrible. It's going to sound horrible. We got to do we need to redo it? I'm like, man, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Well, we were giving him some serious stick in the group chat because we all know Ian can talk, and he talks about his prior clubs and prior players that he's coached. But like I was timing it on the watch. I was like, okay, Ian, these guys kicked it off at 11 minutes. It's now 34 and a half minutes.
You went that first answer.
He went the first 20. He went the first 20.
The bio, he's talking about U10s. I'm like, Ian, let these guys ask you got to like 3 questions in the entire podcast. I'm like, let these guys talk.
I looked at it and we were about 18:30 in when he finally finished the bio. I was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and obviously, like, on the actual podcast, because obviously you guys do about, 11, 12 minutes from the get-go, and it's like, so at that point, it's like 34, 33 minutes. I'm like, Ian, it's half an hour, and I haven't heard the other guys still here. Is it disconnected, or what's going on?
It's funny because, like, Nick always says it in a good way, but it's always kind of like a joke to us about, like, there's people that we interview that we can literally just say the word soccer, and then they can go on for like 30
and that's
minutes.
Ian. I mean, Sean, you know that. Like, that's
oh,
Ian.
yeah.
I'm just going to give you one-word answers and hopefully get 150 questions in.
That's perfect. Nick is full of questions. What we always say is if you can talk about yourself and all the other stuff for an hour, it's good. If at 45 minutes you notice that we're like wrapping it up, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where we have to like bit and piece it and go, here, we got to make something out of it. But no, I trust you'll be all right. You got a lot to talk about. So, all right, here, Nick, you ready?
Sure.
Nick's like, I've fucking been ready, dude. Just
born ready.
Yeah. Born ready. All right. In 3, 2. Oh, and by the way, if you do like mess up on something, like mess up a word or whatever, just stop and like restart the sentence, and it'll give me like a spot to edit it whenever I'm doing it.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. 3, 2, 1. We go out to great lengths to find just the most interesting guests that we can get when it comes to this show. And this one, we went across the pond, found out he wasn't there, come back across the pond, and went to Kentucky and found what is, without a doubt, what I believe, and if you talk to anybody who knows him, one of the main up-and-coming coaches in the college soccer game. If you get a chance to see him in action or to work with him, you're going to know what a lot of people talk about when this guy's name is brought up. We have with us the brand new University of Kentucky assistant coach. His name is Josh Oldroyd. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Have you ever had an intro like that before?
I have not. Never.
You were right. You are really short with the answers. That's all right because Nick has a lot of questions. On Soccer Chat, we always talk about, to know who you are as the coach now, especially even in your young career. We kind of got to know where you come from and what you've done. So if you could kind of give everybody a little background on yourself.
Yeah, like I said to you guys in the startup, I'll try and keep it as short as Coach Henry did last week.
Shots fired.
No, so I'm born and raised Leeds, England, which is Yorkshire, so more north. There's Newcastle and Scotland above us, so very north in the country. Did some local stuff. Started playing around 4 or 5. My dad was the coach of our local team, so kind of got brought into it in that way. My brother. He's 8 years above me. My dad coached his team as well, so I was kind of in there from being very, very young. Played a little bit of local stuff till about U12s, and then went on to Huddersfield Town Academy from U13 and U14. And then moved to Leeds United's academy from U15 to U16, and then got released at 16. Did some semi-pro stuff there, and then moved out to the States when I was 18, 2011. Played at a very small Christian school near Chattanooga, Tennessee, called Bryan College. It's an Naia school. Top 25 when I got there, and kind of left them in good stead as well. But that's really, really good experience, and spent 4 years there, and then moved from there to Lindsey Wilson College in the 2015-2016 season. From 2016-2018, went to University of Evansville, NCAA Division I institution in Indiana, and then from there, literally a month ago, just got the job at University of Kentucky.
And because this is a podcast and people cannot see, but I am, just for Josh, sporting the throwback Purple Aces soccer shirt, because we have to represent for Coach Ray down there when we get the opportunity to. So kind of give us I mean, you've hit a vast spectrum of schools that you've played for and that you've coached at. And we haven't really had truly anybody with like a lot of the NAIA experience on the show. If you could just kind of, for people who may not know, what kind of is that what's the NAIA experience like, maybe as both as a player and as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think from my experience, the first thing I'll say is obviously it's a lot smaller. My school was only about 750 students when I got there in 2011. I think we ended up with about 560. So it's a very, very small environment. I mean, Lindsay was a little bit bigger when I was coaching. That was about 2,500. Obviously, Sean, you know more than I do. I mean, some Division I schools like Evansville are a little bit smaller as well. But predominantly there's a lot of small schools at that level. And to be honest with you, I mean, no disrespect to those schools, and because I played there 4 years and loved my time there, but I think from an athletic standpoint, the facilities probably aren't what they need to be, and but then again, talking on that standpoint, I mean, from the athletic side, there's an awful lot of talent there. I'm sure you guys know this just from recruiting, but the NIA, their rules are not necessarily a little bit more relaxed, but there's a few, you can play a little bit later there, and you can take a few more, you can take a little bit more time off than you probably can at NCAA level. So there's an awful lot of quality and an awful lot of experience. I know my freshman year at Bryan, we played against Lindsey Wilson, and we came up against a 28-year-old Welsh centre back, and he had 2 kids. So you'll play against a wealth of experience, and that's the kind of thing you'll see from an athletic standpoint. And once again, like I said, from an academic standpoint, it's a smaller school. Student-to-teacher ratio is very, very small. But no, that's kind of NIA in a nutshell for sure.
I always tell the story of my time when I was at University of Evansville. We came to Lindsey Wilson to play, and this one dude that we were like, man, like it would be awesome to get this guy to Evansville, and this guy was the absolute real deal. And I'll never forget the moment Lindsey Wilson coming onto the field and doing their pregame routine and dynamics and dancing that they were doing, and some of the looks on our players' faces going, "What are we doing?" Then they've got 37,000 national championships at Lindsey Wilson.
Yeah, no joke. I mean, I think Coach Wells has been there 27, 28 years. And
I think he's been there about 30 years.
Yeah. He was the AD for a while as well. So he's managed an awful lot of things, and they've won it 9 times. And I was telling Nick before we started here, but, they're a school that, across the board, I mean, they're very, very strong at athletics. I was, like I said to Nick, it's, I think in the fall that I was there, it was the first time that a school had got every sport to a national championship in the fall season. So I mean, it's just a school that oozes talent, and it's funny. I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but the Columbia, Kentucky, it's not. You wouldn't think it'd attract that much talent for sure.
Yeah, because it's like you're driving in the woods, and all of a sudden there's a college.
Yes, very true.
So, kind of, I know like while you're at UE, you worked a lot with the goalkeepers. Kind of what do you feel like is your biggest strength as a coach? Is it goalkeeper work, or do you feel like you're more like on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, and I'll kind of tackle that from both on and off the field. I think off the field, I think something that Coach Ray kind of valued in me was my organisation. I think it's something that I take a lot of pride in. I know between myself, Coach Emery, and Coach Ray, that's something that was really really valued in the office. And I think I was listening to Jeremy Clark's podcast from you guys way back on the way in this morning from Evansville, and I know he was kind of talking about the details, and the attention to the detail is massive, and it really, really is, and that's just something that I kind of take off the field, take a lot of pride in it, is making sure everything's organised, and and at that point, you're kind of setting the team up for success, and I think on the field, I think. I think goalkeeping, I think defensively, I think, that they're a given, especially when you're coaching a Division 1 program. But I think, just being relatable to the guys. I think when I first came in there, I think Coach Ray, he kind of said to me, he said, look, we come off the back of a 3-13 season, the spirits are down a little bit. We kind of need you to rebuild a little bit of that, getting to know the guys and being that bridge between the coaching staff and the players. And, once again, I think goalkeeper and defensive work and tactics and things like that, I think they're almost a given at this level. So I think, having those intangibles to get in and around the guys, I think that's huge. So from my standpoint, I think on the field, I think a lot of that was just getting to know the guys, and I'd like to think I played the part in the 2-year turnaround that we had.
Well, it's awesome that you said the organization side and like the office side of type things, because in my time at University of Evansville, Mike Jacobs, who was the head coach then, always told me that in coaching you have to be good at coaching and one other thing that doesn't have anything to do with playing or being on the field. And it's cool that you have organizational skills. Have you ever heard about Nick's desk in his office?
I'm sure it's going to be complete opposite ends of the spectrum. It's either going to be so OCD or just not at all.
So I think, Nick, you need to have Josh come visit this summer.
That answers my question.
Would he organize it for me?
I would like to think so.
It
doesn't look great, if we're being honest, Josh. It has
it worse than last time you sent a video to all of us of what it looked like.
Who is it? Who were we interviewing that day? It was female coach. I don't remember which one it was.
I can't remember off the top of my head now. But yeah, because you guys were talking about organization, and you were like, you should see my desk. It is horrendous.
Horrible.
So that could be your new challenge, Josh, is to go up and see Nick, and I think it was Kat we were talking to.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was Kat. So make your way up to Monmouth, Illinois, Josh, and get Nick some file folders and some organization in that office, because the brother could use it. Obviously too, we always kind of, with the guys who are internationals who we get to talk to, we always kind of ask them about like that culture shock, and obviously going from where you're from to Kentucky. And not so much Lexington, but maybe when you first got to like Lindsey Wilson, what was kind of that? I mean, were you prepared for the difference of the kind of the life or the people here in America?
Once again, I kind of go way back to when I first came out in 2011. I mean, I'd only been to the US once, and that was with my high school in 11th grade, and that was to New York City. So when I came over, and you learn pretty quick that the middle of nowhere, Tennessee is not New York. So it's, it was interesting for sure, and I'll be the first one to admit I was very, very homesick my first couple of weeks, and, almost got back on the plane and went home. But, I think once you get here and you get settled and you start to realize, I think it's, I think most of the guys that come overseas and, speaking from Coach Emery's standpoint last week, I think it's a massive opportunity for everyone that comes over here. But I think going from I think I've had a pretty I think Lexington's by far been the biggest place that I've been in. So I think for me, it's just been a pleasurable experience all the way through. And, I was in Dayton, Tennessee, which had about 19,500 people population. And I went from there to Lindsay, and, Adair County is probably about 4,000. And I coached West Virginia Kings Warriors, PDL that summer. And Hinton, West Virginia's got about 2,500 people. And I obviously made the move to Evansville, which, is a little bit bigger. And then obviously Lexington. So I've kind of gone, started a little bit high, being close to Chattanooga and working my way down, hopefully being back here. But no, I think every move has been great for me, and the cultures, I think I don't think it's what I thought it would be, but I think, living here for 7 years, it's definitely, I'm definitely really, really enjoying the experience.
No, obviously you just got your new job now, but kind of in the process, once you get out of college and you're done playing, what's kind of your process when it is about finding a new job, or what is it, some of the things that you're looking for in a program? Because we always I was just talking to some kids this a couple weeks ago about going through the process of recruiting and finding schools, and you kind of got to have like an idea of what you're looking for. And, when you meet a coach, say, I'm interested in this program, or what does your program do about, what's your program's thoughts on this? So, for coaches who are kind of wondering about going from one place to another, what's kind of your process in all that? Is it something where you're just so good that people call you up and ask you if you want to come there, or do you kind of like, get on the web, see what's out there, and then kind of process it from there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know just from taking 3 jobs in the last 3 years. I mean, going to Lindsay and then Evansville and then Kentucky. That's exactly what it was. He was doing, almost like a player does. Getting on there and looking at the roster and seeing who's got what years of certain guys, and how many years of experience the head coach has, and little things like what their team GPAs were at previous schools and things like that, and getting an idea for the academics. On top of all that, and that's exactly what I did. Like I said, with these 3 jobs. I mean, I know this past month when I got the interview for Kentucky, it was all about what's Coach Sedigan done, where has he been, what successes he had, how are Kentucky looking in the last 1, 3, 5 years, and I think one thing that really stands out at all 3 places that I've been at has been the culture. I think when I made the move after graduation, went to Lindsay. I turned down 3 jobs. Bearing in mind they're all GAs, but went to Lindsay and turned down 3 GAs and did Lindsay as an intern for a year. Still a full-time employee, but that was the tag that was labeled as. So that wasn't a GA. That was just a straight year, and that was purely because of the culture that I felt there. It was a winning environment. Won 9 national championships, and the players they were churning out there to the pros, and some of the players they were bringing over. It was just a really, really good fit, and I got a really, really good vibe there. And it was very, very similar to making the move to Evansville and Kentucky on top of that. Looking at what Coach Ray had done, and he'd been there for so many years, obviously with you and Coach Jacobs and Coach Clark, and seeing that those guys are invested, and once again, same with Coach Sedigan here, seeing his past, and just the culture that everyone that I've been to has created. I just think it, once again, on top of all the websites and the results and things like that, I think it would have been pretty easy for me to turn down a move to Evansville, just looking at their record for the year before I joined them. They were 3-13, and arguably 183rd out of 206 on the RPI. So that would have been a job that I could have looked at and said, well, I don't want to go there and lose, but at the same time, when I went on an interview there and looked at Coach Ray and met him, just the vibe and the culture that I got, was second to none. And speaking from a recruit standpoint, getting on campus and meeting those coaches, it's vital. Everyone can look at rosters and schedules and things like that, but getting on campus and seeing the campus itself, and meeting the guys and meeting the coaching staff, it's it goes hand in hand with whether you're a coach or a player.
What was it about? I was going to kind of hold off on the Kentucky questions for a little bit, but you kind of jumped into one there. What was it about Kentucky that really kind of drove you that way to really pursue that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious to most, the name itself, but I think you have to kind of distance yourself from that a little bit. Like I said, I think when I came here, and just that day alone, you have your preconceived opinions, of the program itself. But I think, actually coming here and watching training and being involved around the facilities and meeting the administrators and meeting the athletic director and, doing all that stuff. And once again, meeting with Coach Sedigan and listening to his culture and his core values, and, meeting some of the guys and seeing those guys are fully bought into, to achieving the goals and objectives at a program like this. That really was it for me. Once again, it was great to be on campus here, but it would have been easy to turn that down. Obviously it's a big job, but at the same time, I felt like Evansville were going in the right direction. So, for me, it would have taken, it took a lot for me to say, to join Kentucky. And I think that really is, once again, because of the culture and everything that's going on here beyond everything that they have, look from the outside looking in.
How long did it take you to send out your first tweet with #BBN?
Well, I don't know if I did. I just retweeted that, but I coached a lot when I was at Lindsay at club, and obviously, you know, Evansville is very close to Kentucky itself. You know, Henderson. So I've got a lot of you know, friends and former club players that kind of hit me up with the hashtag. So I kind of laid off that a little bit and let those guys take the front.
How many people have asked you for T-shirts yet?
Not as of yet, no, but I'm sure it's on the way.
I just realized that you were talking something a while ago about University of Evansville, and you were like, "Oh, you know, like Coach Ray, Coach Jacobs, and yourself." I don't think anybody ever like truly associates me with the University of Evansville, just because I was like the bottom guy in the totem pole there. But I feel really proud that you said that. I'm going to save that clip and replay it in my mind as time goes on in my career. You know, just still a young guy and just absolutely killing it in this coaching world. You know, I spoke with one of your buddies the other day who just spoke the world of you and echoed kind of the same thing I said of, you know, when it comes to, you know, we Nick and I always kind of talk on this show every now and then about, you know, we have like a younger coach on, like, you know, this is a name that we're going to hear in, you know, in the next 5-10 years, like this is going to be a major player. What's the next step for you? I mean, obviously you just started at Kentucky 3 months ago, but you know, say you're there for 5-10 years or whatever it may be. What's kind of that end goal for you? You know, was it the same thing as when you started coaching? You said, okay, this is where I want to get to, or has that kind of changed as you've went on?
Yeah, and you know, I think that the thing that might have changed is, you know, when I was at Lindsay, the goal was always Division One. You know, it wasn't a specific role. You know, it could have been a volunteer role or, you know, a graduate assistant, but, you know, even being at a successful program, you know, arguably the most successful program in the NIA, you know, being at Lindsay Wilson, the goal was always to make the move to Division One. You know, and that's just looking at the facilities and, you know, looking at the level of play and, you know, the ESPN deals and things like that. Just those things that you see that you don't quite have at that level. So Division One was always the goal, but since being here, it definitely has changed. You know, I think for me, I definitely want to be a head coach. You know, that's something that I've got aspirations for. And, you know, right now I'm kind of going back and forth and battling with, you know, you know, pushing the goalkeeper coach side a lot of it, and you know, also trying to make a move and, you know, do the field players an awful lot as well to propel me to that you know, position that I want to be in. You know, once again, like, you know, kind of echo what you said. I've only been here a month, and, you know, I've never been as settled in my life. I feel very, very comfortable here, and, you know, the coaching staff, you know, are immense, and you know, just the all round vibe is great. But, you know, down the road, I think, you know, no one sticks in a place forever, and I think, yeah, down the road, definitely a head coach position would interest me for sure.
Does the pro level interest you any?
It does, yeah, and I think part of that is, you know, once again, come back to the culture. I think part of that is going back to the UK and you know, doing pre-season, you know, early July and not finishing till May 8th, May 9th. I mean, you know, having that 9-10 month season again is something that absolutely attracts me. You know, and I think looking at the USL and the MLS and, you know, the USL D3 and how big the stuff's getting over here, I think that's something that, you know, there's going to be more opportunities to do that kind of stuff.
Because I always wonder, like, the guys who are in college that are super successful at coaching, or maybe even the assistants, you know, most of the time you hear them play the answer of, like, you know, this is where I want to be. This is where, you know, the college game, I love it. I love it. But I always feel like there's something like deep downside. Obviously, you know, look at Caleb Porter. Caleb had the kingdom at Akron and could have stayed there, literally could have stayed there forever and been all right. But there was just something about that pro calling that led him to the MLS. So I always wonder that from guys, that, you know, is there kind of that aspiration possibly, like if there was an opportunity to, oh yeah, like I'd definitely hop on, or no, I like the college game. I think I would stay here.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, like I said, it's just, I think, obviously, I'm sure I'm very different to some of the guys, some of the domestic guys that have only ever experienced, whether it be high school for 3 months or college for 3 months. But for me, I think, you know, having that 10-month season and training from Monday through Friday and playing the game on the Saturday, taking the day off Sunday and then going again. You know, I was telling Nick beforehand, you know, those championship seasons back home, I mean, they're 46 games. I mean, you know, that's something. I'm sure when you're in it, it's a long haul, but I think that's something that absolutely attracts me for sure.
I'd be taking a lot of holidays. That's why I always kind of joke myself. Like, I follow like some different players in the Premier League on Instagram, and I'm just like, every like Sunday through Wednesday, they're on an island. Either that, or they take a lot of pictures on their summer vacation, and they just want us to think that that's where they're at. So the thing that intrigues me about the professional game is I want to coach in England so I can go to the islands on Sunday through Tuesday and then get back to work on Wednesday. That would be like that'd be a life goal. Basically, like I look at John Terry's Instagram and I'm like, I would love to have that life, but it is what it is. Kind of, you mentioned about, we're trying to decide the goalkeepers or doing the things with the field players. Where sure feel like Kentucky is bringing you in to work with? Like, are they wanting you to do goalkeepers? They want you to do field players, or letting you do field players to kind of get a feel for it, or like what was kind of one of the reasons why they felt like you were the best choice?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, I think first and foremost, I think, obviously, this is, not news to anybody, but the job online was advertised as, goalkeeping, recruitment, and sports science. And I'm very, very appreciative of Coach Ray giving me the sports science, side of things at Evansville. We had the polar heart rate and GPS this past fall and spring, and that, it really, really went hand in hand with my exercise health science degree. And between that and, the wellness questionnaires and the RPEs and things like that, I think I felt really, really comfortable coming into UK, with that background. And they're the little things aside from the soccer ball, that really make a difference, I'm sure, in specific programs and wins and losses at the end of the day. And I'm sure as we all know, the game's getting that way for sure. I think once again, the goalkeeping side of things, I mean, I'm sure that's what attracted them to me, but at the same time, it from what I've been told, kind of the defensive unit, I have a big part to play in that as well. And, between the goalkeepers and the defense, I think that's something that, I can kind of, mold into something that I've done and bring my experiences along with the other coaching staff here. But yeah, I think from, to answer your question, I think goalkeeper and field players, I think it's going to go hand in hand.
Well, I was going to hire you for the organizational skills. That's why I was going to hire
you. Yeah, that's a given.
To allow my stress to be just like relaxed. I don't have to worry about the organization or everything. We'll just let you take care of it.
Yeah. I've seen enough. I've dealt with Jimmy John's enough in my life in the last 2 years to be done with those guys. So
and pizza stores, right?
Yeah, Papa John's.
Papa John's.
Funny story. The guys, the 18 guys we had at Evansville in the spring, they gave me a petition and it was signed by every single person on the team and said, no more Papa John's. I was like, well, Coach Ray has a purse strings, not me. So
I can't believe you guys didn't get Toroni's. I always kind of joked about that.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, all these times we're getting Papa John's, we could just go across the street and get Toroni's and everybody would be happy.
Well, it's funny. The worst part was away teams are coming into Evansville and getting Toroni's on the way out. I remember Bradley came there in this, I think it was my first fall for the Pro Rehab Classic. And as they were leaving, they loaded up with 20 boxes of Toroni's. I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's the difference.
No, one of the things that I was curious about, were you guys talking about team meals? That's actually my first question.
Yeah. So I don't know how it was when Coach Ray was there, but when Coach Jacobs was there, every post game meal was pizza, and it was always just like for me, some of the fights over the pizza was always funny, but it was always like we got we never got the petition that they got with Josh, but we did kind of get some comments like, oh, Papa John's, all right. There's a Domino's right over there, right? And then when you're in Bradley, we always went to
Avanti's.
Olive Garden.
Avanti's.
Which
Avanti's.
one? Yes, Avanti.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Avanti's and Papa John's, like that's like UE staple, man. and Jimmy John's, and then during summer camps, Chick-fil-A nuggets.
Dude,
yes.
I feel like that's not a unique thing. My girls complain about food all the time. And then like one of my girls will like fake being vegan for a week so that we can try to get like a different meal option for her. And it's all sorts of chaos. We were talking, Josh, you and me were talking a little bit before we got on about kind of like what your dad does over in England. Like, was he one of your influences to come over here and do to get involved right away with all this type of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think obviously he's never really had a part to play in the American side of things, but I think for him, seeing me get released at such a young age, and it's a complete different story about the kids over there that kind of get left alone and no education and no soccer from that standpoint. But I think seeing me get released from an age of 16, I think watching me come over here and kind of play all 4 years while also getting a good degree and eventually a master's degree, while also kind of following his footsteps and coaching. I mean, from my standpoint, he's a big influence on me. He's been coaching me since the age of 4, and we've had some good experiences and bad experiences. I've always found that when you're the coach's son, you're either the most liked or the most hated, and I was absolutely the most hated. So I was. It's one of those where we've had some really, really good experiences. But yeah, he was for sure a big influence on me. Definitely picking up the reins for coaching.
Well, my dad coached me for a little bit growing up, not in soccer. He knows absolutely nothing about soccer, but that's how I was playing growing up.
And Nick claims that he doesn't know anything about soccer either. Just listen to the podcast.
Only when I'm talking to people that know more about soccer every single week. But yeah, no, one of the things that he always did was he was much more of a jerk to me than he was to any kid that was on the team. Was that kind of situation that you had with your dad?
It was, for sure. And I'll be honest with you. I think, I've coached enough club out here and seen enough kids that I'd rather it was that way. I think that's kind of set me up for failure and success. I've seen a lot of kids, not necessarily the American system, but back home as well, where, they kind of get everything given to them, and, the coach's favorite and best player on the team, and they get the most expensive boots and all that kind of stuff. And I'll be honest with you. I am so grateful that I had it the other way.
Yeah, no, and when you were going through your youth playing career, what were some of the things that you still take with you now when you're either coaching or talking to kids or just dealing with various situations that come up with your current players?
Yeah, I think a big thing that my dad was really, really good at was definitely discipline. That's something that I've kind of gone back and forth on, throughout my progression as a college coach. When I first got to Lindsay, I was younger than probably half the team. So it was one of those where you kind of had to set those boundaries while also being a resource for the guys. And then when I got to Evansville, very, very similar. But I think making the step up here and being a full-time assistant coach, I think having that discipline to kind of make sure that those boundaries aren't crossed, and at the same time, little things like holding training standards to a higher level and taking care of the culture and that side of things. I think that's definitely discipline is definitely one of the key factors that I took away from my father for sure.
What was the most difficult thing about being younger than some of the players you were coaching?
I think there was a lot of battles for sure. And this was, the guys are great at Lindsay Wilson. It was a really, really good time, and Coach Wells, gave me a lot of confidence and, bigged me up in front of the guys an awful lot of time. So the guys really didn't have an excuse to not listen to me or treat me differently. But I think, obviously being younger, it was, and also I think on top of it being a goalkeeper, I think there was a lot of time where, Lindsay are renowned for having a lot of international kids. So Coach Ray was away an awful lot of the time. Coach Wells was away an awful lot of the time recruiting, overseas. And I think, literally having the full team to myself in the spring was a challenge, just because, like I said, trying to explain things to certain players who arguably have been over and played at a bigger level than I could ever dreamed of. There's some kids there that have played at some serious academies, and I think that was definitely something that I struggled with. Being younger, just kind of trying to get them to buy into what we're doing, and I'd like to think that the season that we had and the players that we developed, I think I kind of managed that well, and I think for sure the guys bought into it.
At what point, because this is the interesting thing I went through, because I started coaching pretty young too, and at what point did you start finally feeling older than the people you were coaching?
I think my second year at Evansville. I think this past season. I think when you first get there, you still feel a little bit timid, and you're a little bit new to the environment. And I think I've only been involved 3 years, but I've watched enough videos and enough podcasts and read enough books to realize that you can't really go in there all guns blazing straight away. So I kind of kept a step back a little bit in terms of whether it's coaching or other side of things. But I think for sure this past season at Evansville was really a time for me where I knew the guys, and the incoming guys didn't know me as a new guy, they knew me as an assistant coach. So it was one of those where I could really take a good hold on the team and really, really, really pass on some knowledge that I felt I'd gained within since playing.
When you made that transition going from NAIA Division I, how was learning all of the rules? Because that's the thing. I even feel like if I ever take the opportunity to go to Division I, or if I get the opportunity to go to Division I, that's one of the things I feel like is going to be one of the bigger transition. What was that like for you going through there?
It was very, very tough. It was very, very tough. And I think, even when you're playing in a certain level, whether it be NCAA or NAIA, I think you don't realize the amount of rules and regulations that go into it, But I think, that first year I had at Lindsay, I got pretty familiar with the clearinghouse for the NAIA. And then literally making that jump to Evansville in that summer, it was tough. That NCAA exam is no joke. So it's very, very tough. And even now, you're always obviously you know the rules and regulations and whatnot, but you're still kind of second guessing yourself a little bit. Is this the right email or is this the right phone call and things like that? But I think that's the good thing about being at Division I athletics, is that you have enough compliance people around you, enough knowledgeable coaches and administrators to where you're not put in that situation whatsoever. But yeah, to answer your question, it really, really is a massive jump, and it's just two different organizations. I mean, the NAIA rules. I mean, I think when I was at Lindsay, I mean, I was recruiting JV and varsity, and I think I just made literally 2 11s on a Friday night and just came in and played. And if you did that in NCAA, I mean, you'd be in prison. So it's just one of those. It's just complete different rules.
When what was kind of the most fun part about transitioning to Evansville?
I think kind of getting a chance to rebuild. I think once again going in there at 3-13 season, and by no means was that me. I mean, Coach Ray. I mean, he's played there and he's been the assistant coach there for 8 years under Coach Jacobs, and this is he'll be going to his 4th year as a head coach. But he knows the ins and outs of Evansville and that area and that team and the community, and he really, really won everyone over and got everyone on the same page. And I think I like to say I was a big part of that in terms of getting the kids to buy back in and kind of going in there with a clean slate. It literally could not have been any worse than the year before. So just going in there and kind of starting with the goalkeeping department and kind of getting kids to buy back in, maybe some broken relationships in certain positions and things like that, but getting the kids to buy back in, and all of a sudden you're winning one or 2, 3, 4 games, and all of a sudden you've gone from 3-13 to 10-8-3.
One thing I'm curious about, and I feel like a lot of coaches out there right now are probably pretty curious about this as well. How do you manage the fact that there's only one goalkeeper on the field and you could easily be training 3, 4, 5 goalkeepers that 2 to 4 of them are not going to get in a game or not going to get in a lot of games? How do you manage that mentally? How do you keep them engaged? How do you keep them excited about what they're doing in training every single day?
Yeah, I think first things first, you've got really, really upfront and honest with the kids. I think I learned that from my time at Lindsay Wilson. We had a Japanese kid that played, and we had English kid from Southampton come in, and he really, really good goalkeeper. And I think I learned from my mistakes in that standpoint, where you kind of bigging him up and kind of not being as honest with him as possible. And I think once we went to Evansville, I realized that wasn't working. You had to be upfront and honest with the kids. I think when I got to Evansville, we had a Danish kid that was ineligible the previous year, so he'd sat there a year, and then we had 2 kids, a sophomore and a freshman, that kind of battled it out and probably played half the games each. So ideally you come into that preseason in 16, you've got 3 kids that think they're going to play. So it was some honest conversations and some really, really good feedback and development and things like that. But I think everything that that Jeremy Clark talked about and Stan Anderson talked about from Camp Shutout, I think just video and talking to the kids and being behind the goal, and I think taking a kid out there on a Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. it goes a really, really long way. I think kids get, at this level, you get so bought into the fact that the starting goalkeeper is the only one that's training, and you might get 10, 15 minutes here and there, but then all of a sudden you're in tactical shape. And I think something that the kids really, really enjoy and stay bought in for is because you're doing that extra work. And if someone goes down, if the starting goalkeeper goes down, then the second and third choice can easily play. And that's something that I told Coach Ray, and we were on the same page with that. Is I don't want to build a goalkeeper department where it's first choice, second choice, third choice. It's a case of, well, every single goalkeeper can play. And that's something that you do through all those different ways and means. I think that's proofs in the pudding this past fall, when once again our Danish kid was out and hurt, and Matt Keller, who he'll be the first one to admit he didn't probably have the best first 2 years, but his senior season, I mean, he played 13 games, conceded 6 goals, and was 5th in the country on shot save percentage. So I think getting those kids to buy in and remain bought in through all those ways that I just mentioned, through communication, honest feedback, videos, drills, everything that you can do to make sure those kids are happy where they are.
One of the things I'm curious about is I was actually talking with another coach about this the other day. What are some of the things that you think goalkeepers coming up nowadays struggle with the most, and what are some of the things that you think they do better nowadays that they might have done in the past?
Yeah, I think something that they struggle with, and it's not necessarily something that's their fault, but I think just the way the game's changing, and they may not have that that level of coaching at the club or high school level. But I think the two things that I look for in a goalkeeper from a recruiting standpoint nowadays are distribution. Um, distribution / footwork, and also, coming to claim crosses. I think at the highest level in this game, it's, set pieces play a massive part, and Evansville's been a big, benefit. We've been a big beneficiary of that, with Ian McGrath. So I think seeing if kids can, play the ball in the right areas and play in the pressure and handle back passes, and I think that's stuff that they could probably do a little bit better job of, and that's purely because that's just the way the game's going. It's not. I don't think that's their fault. Once again, I think that may be a fact that they might not have the best coach, the best coaching from a goalkeeping standpoint, at such a low level. But I think definitely distribution / footwork and set pieces play a massive part. But I definitely think something that's come an awful long way is for sure shot stopping and handling. I think with more coverage on the EPL nowadays, and you're watching those top class goalkeepers week in, week out, and the way the ball's moving, and kind of where they're rebounding the ball and directing the ball into certain areas, either parrying, either catching it, either punching it. I think that that's come an awful long way just in the 3 years that I've been recruiting goalkeepers. I've kind of seen that come on leaps and bounds, and now I'm looking for, okay, well, the shot stopping's a given. That's why you're a college goalkeeper. Now do you have the footwork to put it into the fullback's feet, or the distribution, to put it onto a striker's chest, and can you come and claim a cross and relieve a little bit of pressure? So that's definitely two ends of the spectrum that I've seen just from playing and coaching here in the last 7 years.
You make me feel a lot better, because that was kind of my argument with the guys. I do feel that one of the things that people do, like almost every goalkeeper you see nowadays can stop a shot. It's the amount of crosses that I see are dropped, or that people, like you said, people don't deal well with the ball under pressure. It is one of those things that the goalkeepers that do those well, that hold on to every cross, that can change the point of attack, that can distribute 40, 50 yards on a dime, are the ones that you see at the professional level right now that are really succeeding. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and like I said, just to kind of echo that again, I mean, the way, and obviously I know Man City are the be all and end all. No one's ever going to beat them. Not even my U15 girls club team can be that good. But it's one of those where they're so good at playing, and it really is a lesson for most kids that can watch that. They're seeing how Edison or Claudio Brau, whoever it is that's in goal for that team, and obviously De Gea and all these goalkeepers that are on TV. All of these EPL guys can play with the ball at the back, and almost I think the biggest thing nowadays is they're an 11th player. It's not 10 versus 10 anymore. It's definitely 11 versus 11. And in my opinion, whoever can utilize the goalkeeper, a lot more is going to be, one step ahead.
What are you most excited about with this opportunity coming up? Obviously, we were talking a little bit before air that you're going to get to move up there in about a week or so. You're transitioning with your wife as well. What are you most excited about with this new experience?
I think the pressure. When I talked to a lot of people before I got the job, and the biggest thing was about the job security, and it's a big school, so this, that, and the other. But I think for me, I think the pressure. I think when you're a player, you want to play in the big games. It's the same as coaches. You want to play against the best opposition, the best players in the country, and I'm fortunate to have seen that. At Evansville, we've played some really good teams. Louisville, IU, Kentucky, Butler, Grand Canyon. Every single year. And that's where you want to be at. And if you're not thriving that pressure, then to me, I have a hard time being in the game. I could go with my wife and teach gym, teach PE, and have no pressure whatsoever. No disrespect to those guys, but for me, I think just living in that environment, every day is a battle, and going out there to train to prepare for that weekend game to get a win, and just once again deal with that pressure.
So you talked about going to Kentucky. What has been with meeting the guys that you've met so far? Like, what's some of the things that you're looking forward to in that time?
I think it's once again, I think just being here and once again, kind of molding the goalkeeping department itself. I know there's some really, really good players there, and I'm very, very fortunate to have those guys to work with. I think seeing those guys develop and just working with them every day, and on top of that, kind of seeing how they're progressing both on the field, off the field, in the classroom, in the weight room, things like that. So, for sure, once again, working with a high caliber player and at this level is very, very exciting for sure.
And with kind of with kind of the notion of Kentucky soccer and things along those lines, you're coming from University of Evansville where there's no football team. You have a basketball team that's kind of like the top dog a little bit, but men's soccer is kind of one of the I would say men's soccer is also one of the top dogs. So it's like 1A, 1B at the University of Evansville. Now you're going to Kentucky where there is a football team that's very highly popular, and you've got a basketball team that's even significantly popular. What do you feel like you can do to help bring even more knowledge about Kentucky soccer to the fan base?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very, very exciting time right now. I don't want to get into the ins and outs of how the department works, but I think we're very, very young squad. We've only got one senior this coming fall, so it's bringing in 11, 12 guys that from a wide variety of countries, and it's a very, very good time to be a UK soccer fan. And that's something that kind of attracted me to the program itself. Being here and kind of seeing the culture and seeing the buy-in, and I haven't seen an awful lot of the football and the basketball, but I can assure you that's the exact same way. And I think just being another Division I institution where the entire administration is fully bought into the way things are moving, and I think rather than looking at from a standpoint of kind of battling with basketball and football, I think from our standpoint is can we kind of join in with those guys and softball and baseball and all the other sports and kind of push UK. And I think that that comes from the administration here as well, for sure. I mean, I know they're talking about some big things moving forward, and once again, it's very, very exciting to be a part of.
What's been kind of your biggest shock about coaching here in America? Has it been, I know a lot of coaches I talk to that have like, I can't believe like the networking of coaches, like, the things like the United Soccer Coaches Convention that gets put on every year, the coaching licensing. What's been kind of like one of the just like kind of like a big shock or something that's just kind of blown you away in your time coaching here?
I mean, yeah, I think networking is definitely a big thing. I mean, I think it's a very, very small coaching world, but I think above all else, I think the facilities, and the professional mentality, that you might not hear that answer, very much from domestic coaches, but I think any international coach that comes on this podcast or any international coach in the country, I think the first thing they'll say is, I mean, it's just unbelievable. Even when I was at a small NAA school, I mean, the surfaces that you're playing on, in the fields are immaculate and, like carpets and you go in the medical staff and the physio rooms and the treatment rooms are different class. And, and then you come to a program like, Lindsey Wilson, where once again, it's all about professionalism. And then, once again, Evansville and Kentucky. And this to me is the be all and end all. I mean, just walking around campus and seeing everything. I mean, I do not know anything back home that compares. I'm sure now that Tottenham are building new training grounds and this, that, and the other. But I just speak from my time in the academies back home. In Huddersfield would die for a facility like this. They really, really would. And they're an EPL team. And hopefully that gives some people, listeners, an insight into how good of a job that they're doing or teams like that are doing, because the facilities back home really, really aren't anything compared to the facilities out here. And I think it's for me it's I'm biased because I've been here for 7 years now and I've seen it, but I think my brother came over recently and we were driving through Evansville, Sean, on the Lloyd and past Harrison High School, and their massive stadium, I say massive, their big stadium, big turf field. I mean, it's just something you don't see back home. So I think definitely the biggest shock for me was by far one, the professionalism, which also ties in with the facilities and the medical staff and nutrition and everything, above all else.
What has been, we always learn in our coaching journeys, wherever we've been, there's always one thing that we've kind of learned and taken with us to the next job that's helped us. And then in that job, we take something that we learned from and takes into the next one. What's kind of been a lesson that you've learned in each of your stops so far?
I mean, I think Lindsay, once again, kind of what I mentioned before. I think I definitely learned different coaching styles. I think you first come in and you think you're the top dog, and you like I said, you're younger than the players, and you're a goalie, you're not a left back, and this, that, and the other. And I think once again, from Lindsay to Evansville, it was just being personable with the guys and realizing that you don't know everything, and you're in such a short space of time coaching. There's really an awful lot to learn. And then I think similar to Evansville, moving across to Kentucky, I think the biggest thing that I took away from Evansville was, the amount of work that goes into success on the field. It really, really is, and I know you guys can attest to that as well. I think that's college coaching, across the board. But I think the amount of hours that you spend, and Coach Ray is a big advocate of that. He's got 4 kids and a wife at home, but he's still clipping film and doing some different bits and pieces at home, and very, very rarely gets time for to watch Arsenal or do things on his own. It's it's one of those where I think just the amount of work that it takes to be a successful program, it really, really does. I think Coach Sedergren has told me 5 times in the last 2 weeks that this is a good time of year to get a job, because May and December are kind of 2 quieter months, and I'm really reaping the benefits of that just because I've managed to go back to Evansville on most weekends. But I think aside from that, all the other time of the year, it's an awful lot of work. And, once again, that's something that I've brought here with me, is that to be a successful program. And you look at Stanford, I mean, there's no doubt that that those guys are putting the work in and doing everything that they can. They're not sitting around with 1 national championship. They've gone and won 3, and you guarantee the work ethic is the same there. And that's definitely something that I've brought with me from Evansville to Kentucky for sure.
I don't know in my time that I've known Coach Ray if I've ever known that he missed an Arsenal game unless we had a game.
Probably nowadays because they're that bad. But yeah, he's I know how frustrated he is, but I'm sure he's happy now.
He used to joke with me that you could always tell if Sean's teams weren't doing good because I wasn't tweeting or posting about them, and I was like, well, how do you know that I was even watching the games? Maybe I was doing something my own, like mowing the yard or something, or maybe I had a club game, and that's why I can't tweet about the game that I didn't watch. But I think kind of the same thing along the lines with him. His team wasn't doing so well, so there really wasn't a lot of talk about him. But I love Coach Ray. I absolutely love the guy to death. I've bugged him to death about coming on the show, and I'm hoping that someday he will, because I think he's got a fantastic story for people to go on. Do you have any funny stories from your time at UE or Lindsey Wilson that just anytime you think about it, it makes you laugh, whether it's a funny recruiting story or a funny story with the staff?
Wow. Well, Coach Henry is one of the funniest guys I know. So there's probably an awful lot of stories. And, just listen to his from last week about, always wearing a long sleeve. I mean, he looks like someone, he looks like Dr. Grant of Jurassic Park whenever he's doing the camps. He's got the big hat on and the long sleeves. And yeah, I mean, that definitely sticks in my mind. But
he is like a Columbia / North Face poster child. Like he would be the perfect model for him.
He really, really is. It's funny, he's gonna take part in my wedding next my celebration next month, and it's in Melbourne Beach, Florida. So I don't even want to know what he's gonna have on on that day. I'm sure he's gonna have one of those little hat umbrella things that kind of keep him shaded from the sun. But no, I mean that's. I'm struggling to think of an exact story. I know there's got to be a boatload because once again, Ian and Coach Henry and Coach Ray are 2 very, very funny guys.
I was going to say Coach Ray is one of the funniest guys that I know.
He really is. Yeah, great sense of humor. Good banter, and once again, that's exactly what you want from a head coach. You don't want to be uptight, and I know just from having him as a head coach. I mean, it was it was a laid back environment. When it needed to be, but at the same time, complete opposite of that. It was a really, really good environment to be in. But back to the story. I mean, I think there's probably a boatload of stories that I can think of. Between Coach Henry and Coach Ray, and Coach Wells is a really, really funny guy too. I mean, he has he's been all over Africa. I mean, he's been all over the world recruiting, but he's been all over Africa recruiting. He picks up these bits of furniture. I don't know how he gets them in the suitcase, but he has these dotted around his little office, in the soccer house, and he would literally tell me a different story every day. And that guy's been around. He's unbelievable. He's phenomenal. But no, there's there's probably too many to think of to probably share a specific one. But no, I think I'll leave it at the fact that Coach Henry and Coach Ray, two very, very funny guys.
So Nick, you can't like jump on me for talking about Coach Henry's long sleeve black shirts, because I'm predicting that at Josh's wedding. I don't know what the groomsmen are wearing, but I am willing to bet that at some point, whether it's during the rehearsal or the reception or something, Ian's going to have a black long sleeve Nike pullover on.
Absolutely, and it's going. I think it's going to be hard to get him outside because there's actually 4 World Cup games during that day. So,
what are you guys gonna? What? How did you plan that?
I don't know. I messed up. I think that was the missus. So we'll see.
It's funny. It's funny you mention that because I know that whenever when we were getting married, that was like when we were picking a day. It was like, all right, what's going on? Like sporting events wise, like other worldly events. Like, is there a tournament going on? No. Is this going on? No. Oh, is there Premier League game this day? No. So yeah, sometimes I don't know how. I know there are some people who are like got engaged and like, okay, we have to get married after the World Cup. So like maybe like in the following year, but so I can attest that Nick and I will proudly broadcast the wedding live from the beach for Soccer Chat. We could do a special episode. We've not done weddings before, but I feel like we would be very good at the play-by-play on it.
We'd have to make sure we got something mobile, so we'd go like
yes.
Yeah. Oh, we could totally pull it off.
Yes.
We've got the microphones. We would just have to have a good, nice little Wi-Fi. Well, we wouldn't have to have a Wi-Fi connection. We'll make it on demand. But what a great special edition of Soccer Chat that I think people would get a kick out of, because especially I'm sure there's going to be a lot of soccer people there. On your side of it. So just like given a play-by-play and the color commentary of the wedding, and then we get to the reception and we get to walk around and talk to these guys about soccer, and just
that would be good fun. That would
it not?
Any commentary about Alexi Lalas will do fine for the wedding.
Oh, see that, and that's my dude. Like I will gladly do whatever you need to. I feel like so Nick and I always joke about like, oh man, like where can we take this podcast thing? And we're going to take it to weddings. That's our next trip. We're going to take it to weddings and provide. I don't know if you want like a Ray Hudson color commentator type style. I can totally bring that to it. I'm sure when the missus is listening to this, when it comes out, she's going to be like, there is no way in hell those guys are coming to our wedding. And that's okay. That's okay because I've been told that numerous times when it comes to weddings.
I've got to sell it as kind of a Catalina wine mixer. So if you guys can pick up the mic and sing a couple of songs for us at the end of it, then that might work out in our favor as well.
Little did you know, and you can ask Coach Ray about this. Ask him about he and I's karaoke trip.
I will. See, there's a lot of stories I can't tell on here.
I guarantee he'll tell you about the karaoke trip, and it will be just to kind of like, so quick base. It was camp week, and we were going to go out for dinner, and we ended up at a karaoke bar. And needless to say, there were coaches that were with us that paid the DJ to continue to let me sing, because I did that well. Well, let me rephrase that. I did that well compared to the other people who were going on. So, and I would say the rest of camp that week, Coach Ray, we'd be talking all of a sudden, he'd stop and go, I can't believe you can sing. I just can't believe it. And so tell the wife, like I do all types of entertainment. We'll record the podcast. I'll sing the dance songs for you guys. Nick will dance and drink the beer. I don't know if
I'm good at speeches. So like, if you need someone to come give like a guest speech. I mean, Josh, we just met tonight, but like I can do some research. We can figure this out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's going to get you guys in for sure.
All right, so let's book it. Before we keep going off any further on the show, as we kind of wrap up, one of the big things about this show and the chats that we do on Wednesday night is all about coaches networking and getting together. And actually, before we get into that, I do got a question for you. So, Josh, I know that you are an avid listener to the show, and I'll never forget being at the exact camp in St. Louis, and you just walking up and just like, hey, I listen to your podcast all the time. I really felt a lot of pride in that because that was the first time somebody ever walked up to me and told me that they listened to the podcast. And I was just so elated and joyed. And you're just like, I mean, what else am I going to do on 3-hour recruiting trips? I'm like, yeah, that's exactly right. Like, that's the purpose of it. But I'm a little upset because on that day, and that was Thanksgiving, that I was like, hey, well, you should come on the show. And you're like, oh, not me. And there's been a middleman between you and I for the last couple. Well, I don't even know if he's actually spoken to you in the last couple months about it. That I've been like, tell Josh I want to have him on. Tell Josh I want to have him on. And he responds back with every single time he thinks you're taking the piss out of him, mate. And I'm not trying to give away who it was, but why did it take so long? Why did you have to go to Kentucky just for us to get you on the show, man? Come on.
It's funny because you were talking about getting Marshall on here earlier, and that's probably the main reason why. I always, because I mean, I know Coach Ray had done a lot of podcasts and a lot of advertisement for the program, and that's honestly the main reason. I always felt as though he would be the one to go on there and kind of share the Evansville story. But as soon as I came here, I just told I know who you're talking about, and I won't mention his name, but no, he reached out and I said, yeah, let's. And obviously, I know he wanted to do a joint thing, but I think he's going to do a great podcast on his own.
Well, I know that he also, at first he told me the only way that he would do it was if you would do it. And I was like, well, dude, I would like him on more than I would like you. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter there. No, but
you might have to cut that out.
No, we're keeping that in. I'll show you the screenshot. No, but no, that's even one thing because oh my goodness, right before you and I connected, he was like, he doesn't believe me, man. He doesn't believe me, mate. He doesn't think that I'm like, send him a screenshot of this text message. Like, yes, like we want to get him on the show. So I'm super, super happy that you came on the show because like I said, there's a lot of people that I know that know you or know of you, that I've spoken with since in your time in Evansville, and you've joined the Brotherhood of Evansville. I don't know so much if I'm a part of the Brotherhood of Evansville. I mean, I was only there for a year and a half, 2 years. But the UE family is somebody that I'm always very tied to. And as everybody goes their ways from UE, I always try to keep track of their career and see how they're doing and root them on because that's part of the Brotherhood. I want people to try to connect with you because I think that a lot of us can learn from you, even at the young age that you are. You grizzled young vet. We haven't really hardly labeled anybody that recently.
That's
so you
that's
are
a Jeremy
our newest.
Clark. That's a Jeremy Clark.
Yes.
Right there. I heard that this morning. That's the only reason I know that.
There we go. So you are I believe that is our second grizzled young vet that we have deemed on Soccer Chat.
Wow.
Which may be, you know what, Nick, that may be the next t-shirt idea. Grizzled young vet.
I like that.
Grizzled young vet. But how can other coaches get in contact with you and just maybe ask you questions or try to build a network with you?
Yeah, so I'm a big social media guy. I obviously my email online, at UK, josh.oldroyd@uky.edu. Always willing to answer questions there, and go back and forth with coaches on certain bits and pieces. And, once again, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's just at Josh Oldroyd on both of those. And Facebook, same thing, just my full name. Sometimes it takes me, a day or two to get back to you guys, but once we're in conversation, it's fully in. It's good topic, and that's something that that me and the coaches at Evansville were, in my opinion, pretty good about. We always take time out of our day to kind of discuss ideas and things like that. And kind of as you guys alluded to all the time on these podcasts, it's a very, very small coaching network, and any help is great help for sure.
And, as we kind of get out here, we want to send you the best of luck on the upcoming wedding. We look forward to hearing from the missus on our contract details as Nick will get his speech written up. I will get the songs ready, and we will have our live play-by-play color commentary of your wedding for the special edition podcast. But we want to thank you for coming on. We want to wish you the best of luck in this new venture of yours. I know my mother's a diehard Kentucky fan, so I know she listens to this, so she's now going to be a massive UK soccer fan probably, and will constantly text me about asking you for t-shirts. And I'm not going to do that. So sorry, Mom. You can go buy them yourself. But thank you so much for coming on, Josh. We enjoyed having you, and we want to wish you the best of luck in this upcoming fall.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Take care.
You too, brother.
Oh, perfect timing. Right at an hour.
Hey, I've got the stopwatch ticking over right here.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. So, what do you want your intro song to be?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know he had this big Irish thing. I'm trying to think of a. Oof, I'll probably have to pick you. Can I get back to you on that one or what? Can you give me an hour?
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say an hour, or I mean, like you could tell me Wednesday night. Like it doesn't matter.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay.
So we
yeah,
normally just go on like something that means something to you, or maybe just like a like your favorite pump up song, or just what it really doesn't matter.
Yep, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Josh. It was awesome. This will come out on Thursday morning. We'll tag you. We'll tag UK Soccer. I feel like this might be our biggest show. Nick and I always text during the episode like if it's good or not, and like we were just like, okay, this is gonna be good. And I was like, this is like on top of your answering and like how well the conversation went, like the best audio quality the entire way. And I'm like, this is the best sounding one we've ever done. But we really got to pull in that Big Blue Nation for this one.
Yeah,
all right.
Sure.
So,
and you guys have had some top class people. I mean, like the camp shout guy, like I was listening, he's a big time dude.
Yeah. Awesome. He was like one of the most fun ones to talk to too.
Yeah, he's a big time dude. And it's funny. I haven't really had. I follow him on everything, and I haven't really had the chance. Is it UIC, right? There's some bits and pieces at UIC.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and I just haven't had the chance to kind of one meet him or two kind of it's one of those where you kind of follow him and you don't really get a response back. So yeah, I'm hopeful that I can. But I mean, once again, like Riddles was great. Stews was for me like play by play of how to rebuild a program. Without saying that, without him saying that, everything that I'm sure you guys are the same way. Everything he was saying was like spot on. Like it's like, okay, if you're going in and these guys suck, here's what you do. So no, that was seriously. And Jeremy's this morning. Like I know he was on the fourth one, but yeah, I'm just gonna have to. It's one of those like these trips to Evansville are really, really helping because I've got 3 hours on the road. So,
I think we were talking the other day, and I was just like, people who are like just kind of now getting into it are like listening to the current one and then going back and finding an older one.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Kind of going that way.
Yeah,
and I was just pulling up the numbers, and we just had 2 more shows get over the 2,000 mark, and you can see like how like people are honestly going back to the beginning and then working their way back through, because you've got let's see, the last one at 1,000 is number 37, but then like the rest are through 45 are at like 900. So like you can tell that people are like starting to catch up a little bit. So you're kind of coming in there because even though we've had like some big name people on, we had them on so early before the show kind of started taking off. That's kind of like, oh, like you didn't know we did that one. But it's like you're kind of coming in at like the right time, and plus now you've got the BBN factor. All we've got to do is just tag you guys on it. If you guys in the athletic department will retweet it, and then we'll make sure to put the hashtag in there, because anything from that has BBN, I know people just like go bonkers over. So
yeah,
hopefully this one could break the record books.
Let's hope so. Here's hoping, boys.
Hey, your old teammate from '98 says hello.
Yeah, Ellis Riley. He's a big time dude now as well.
Yeah, he's kind of one of our next targets we want to get on.
Yeah,
so you may have to get in his ear.
Dude, I want to know what program he uses, like those like create scenario.
Yeah, I don't know. He's on
phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, this is just such a good time right now in terms of like doing this stuff. Like he's really hitting the nail on the head. Like, and this is the thing. Like he very similar background to me. Played at Jamestown. Played at Wingate for a year. Done some PDL bits and pieces, coached Naia, but I don't know, like this social media, like right now, it's just taking off. I'm sure you guys are reaping the benefits of that as well. Like all this podcast stuff, I'm sure you guys are getting more followers each time.
He's never had this many followers in his life. He's like, what is this?
Dude, when I started this, we've been doing this for a year. I was telling Sean about this. We've been doing this for a year. I don't know how many I have now. I know I'm over 800. I had like 100. I had like maybe like 180 like when we started.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those, like, all of a sudden, like, I think you guys realize it, but, like, people that gain followers, like, if they retweet something that Ellis does, then all of a sudden, everyone that follows this person sees that. And once again, it's just everyone's following each other, and it's getting to that point where, like, everyone recognizes the same names. It's like, I know the convention's so good, but just getting that group of people together, it would be immense, like, and once again, I know that's what the convention's for, but I haven't had the privilege of going out there yet, so...
Well, hopefully everything goes well and you can come to Chicago next year, and hopefully we get to do our show. And even if we don't get to do it from there, we're going to pick a bar and go do it.
Yeah, well, I'll see you guys in June for the fourth World Cup game at the Open Bar and the wedding day.
There we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
So, but yeah, no worries, boys. I'll let you get back to it. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, Josh.
Yep. Take care. Cheers. Bye.
Yep.
Yeah, he was real good. Like really smooth. Like just it like that. Like I never felt like we were straining for questions even a little bit.
No, I got shuffled a little bit because my wife was trying to ask me a question and I thought you were still going. I was like, oh wait, that's me.
That was like a quick 5-second thing though.
Yeah, and I can cut that part out. Do you want to go ahead and do the outro now? And
we can do everything now if you want.
Okay.
Or do you want to wait till Wednesday to do the intro?
It doesn't matter to me. So we're in like crazy time constraints at the house now because we're moving.
Oh shit.
And yeah, so we're moving back to Indiana.
Where are you doing?
We're going back to Evansville, actually.
Are you working at Are you gonna take that job?
No, I didn't even apply for it. I wish. I know 2 guys who have applied for it though. So my wife's old school corporation, which is like her like dream one. Let's see, that Wednesday before we played golf, called her up that morning just to, like to catch up, see how she was doing, and we're just like, hey, we want you back. And she was like, what? Like, we have 2 jobs, pick one. And she was like, what? Like, we have 2 jobs, pick one, or you don't have to pick either one of them. And she was like, well, yeah, I do want to come back, so yeah, I'll pick one. And so do what?
No, sorry, my phone was like yelling at me. You're good.
So she like texted me. It was like, hey, Evansville wants me to come back and they have a really good job and I really like it there and it's awesome for our kids and yada yada yada. And I was like, sweet. And like, so that's probably like when you guys saw me, that's probably the happiest I've been in like in so long. So yeah, so we are, when I was taking the phone call before we started, that was the drywall guy that's got to do my basement for me since we got a fence instead of redoing our basement. And then I've just got so much stuff to do. Cause our realtor we met with on Thursday. Yeah. Thursday night. And the objective is to try to get the house on the market by or before June 1st.
Oh, wow.
And the earlier that we can do it, she thinks the earlier it can sell and the more money we're going to get out of it. So it's like, I've got this basement. I've got like 3 guys that are supposed to be working on it. We had a painting guy come in who's supposed to tear down wallpaper in this back room back here, or it's like a hallway, and there's a bathroom there. And they're supposed to do that. They came out on Friday to measure and do a quote and told us that they would text us the quote on Friday night. We've not heard from them. Called, texted today. Still haven't heard from them. And like everybody that we've talked to like knows that we're on this like crazy tight schedule. And it's like, that doesn't matter to people. We're like, look, like if you can't come do it, like whenever, like we're gonna have to find somebody new, like, cause we cannot wait. And it's just like, I was trying to fix, this like window. So we have this like massive window in the front room and there's like a ledge where you can like sit, I guess, or you like put plants on there or whatever. And we've discovered that my in-laws 100-pound lab just absolutely destroyed it. And I thought it was something where I could get like one of those like wood pins and like paint on the marks to like cover it up. And it's like, it's so deep, like it doesn't even work. So I've got like, that's another thing I have to add to my list of crap to get done in 2 weeks, on top of training 3 times a week, 2 games on Saturday and Sunday for the rest until June 3rd. We had a tournament this past weekend here in town. So I was gone from 7:15 to I was done at 3 on Saturday, but that's because we went down to Detroit because I had tickets to that wrestling show. And then Sunday I was at the fields from 8 to about 6. 4:30, I think. Yeah, because we had dinner at 5, whatever. And then like I was so beat up from the sun and worn out. I was like, I'm going straight to sleep. I know I need to get the guest bedroom done, but I'm going to bed. So yeah, it's been super crazy. That's why like Josh texted me today. He's like, hey, you want to do tonight? And I was like, oh yes, that's right. Yeah, let's do tonight. Just so that way like we can get we got his done tonight, Declan's tomorrow. And then if we can do somebody else, I'd like to try to get like 2 females. I'd like to get a female in between Josh and Declan's. Just so like we can
kind of even it out. Do we have anyone that's been participating that we want to get on?
I'm sure there's
Let me look.
I'm sure there's some.
I'm looking right now. 1 second.
Like really only like Kat's been on there. We've had Mania on. We still need to get Bobby on. Even
that's the one I was gonna say. We need to definitely.
Even though I keep joking with him, I'm never gonna have him on.
I think we need to get him on sooner rather than later too. Let's see. I'm just scrolling down real quick. 1 second.
And the way things are going, I should be into oh yes. Well done, Josh. That's what's up. Wow. Okay, so he just like got my mind off what I was saying. I should be, if I remember correctly. So let's see, that's 40. This is 48. 49, 50, 51, 52. So I will be in Evansville for the 52nd, for the 1 year anniversary, and that will be my birthday week, actually. So I will have my stuff with me down in Evansville because that's see, Casey's in class the week before. I'm going to stay the next week before I have to come back up. So that's the one where I want to have all the people from Soccer Chat like come on and just talk to us about the show.
Perfect.
So we'll probably put like a thing out. See, do you think giving people 2 weeks notice on trying to do that?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best.
Okay. And I want to try to sign up for a Google business account by then, so that way we can have like 25 people. So I think right now I can only have 10, or it's either 8 or 10 on this. So unless we do like a 2-part somehow, some way, like if you can't get on the first night, you can come on the second night. We can just use whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm shooting for that to happen that week. I won't be able to do it that Monday night because I have tryouts down there. Because my club's bringing me back. So I got tryouts. I think it's the 11th and 12th. So we'd have to do it. We can't do it 13th because that's my birthday. So we probably would have to do it the night of the 12th, I guess. So yeah, we'll figure it out. But then though, I can't even talk right now. So yeah, let's knock this outro out.
Do you want to do the intro too? Like, it
doesn't matter unless you want to wait for Wednesday for the intro to like include stuff from the chat, or we can talk about just whatever you want. That's fine with me.
Yeah, let's just do it tonight because like I'm been trying to get out recruiting a ton, and I don't know. I haven't really looked at my Wednesday schedule yet, so I'd be worried that like I'm not going to be in a way where I can do it. Like I'll be able to get out a little bit.
That's not a problem. We can do that then. Let's do the outro first and the intro.
Okay.
And whenever you start, I'll start the clock.
Cool. I mean, I love the interviews when you and me are texting each other during the interview and can't stop saying enough good things about it, because that was one of those interviews.
Oh yeah, the broadcasting major in me is like the audio sound was perfect. But like I said before the thing started, Josh is an absolute home run. He talked about wanting to become a head coach one day. You can hear it. The guy can talk the part and he can walk the walk too.
I was going to say, like, the entire time, the thing that impressed me the most was like how engaging he was, because there's certain people when you listen to him, you can easily get caught off track. You can easily like not be invested in every single word. Like everything you were saying, like just engaged me a little bit more. And there would be times when he'd talk for 3-4 minutes straight and I'd be like hanging on my seat for like the next word.
There are times where like, because I have so much stuff going on, like while we're recording, whether it's trying to answer like a question from my wife, or trying to text you something, or trying to look up something on the person, that it's like I kind of get distracted sometimes. Maybe it's ADHD that my wife says that I have. But I found throughout this time, like I was like on every single word that he was saying. And I don't know how much of it was really Josh and I have worked 2 or 3 camps together, maybe, and with like very limited communication other than just like, hey, how you doing? How's Evansville? How's AB? Just kind of along those. Not like we haven't been like super buddy like going out and things along those lines. So I think one of the things for me was, this past Thanksgiving, the work in the St. Louis camp, and that was kind of like our first like true conversation other than, hey, how's it going? Stuff like that. Like I really did want to know about him. So I found myself even more intrigued and more into what he was saying, just to learn more about the guy that I really got to know in a half day in St. Louis.
I mean, and we can debate the full details of this later, but I mean, it's clear he felt the same way because he invited us to his wedding in a month. So
yeah. Our first ever wedding, Soccer Chat wedding.
I mean,
Soccer Chat live from a wedding. And I'm actually kind of glad that I just did that because my voice and my throat have been shot for the last 4 days. So my like movie trailer announcer voice is so on point right now.
Dude.
In a land far away.
One man. God, yours is so much better. I don't have a naturally low voice.
One woman, one man, a beach, lots of friends, 2 Soccer Chat podcast hosts. Who will make it out alive? Probably not Sean, because most brides hates his guts.
That's probably only your own bride, I think, at this point.
Nah.
No,
the jury may be out on that one. Actually, you know, it's funny though, because like I've been in way more weddings than I need to admit to. And that's always the perception of like, Sean's going to ruin the wedding. Sean's going to ruin the wedding. Oh my gosh. But then the one, like people always say like, man, like that wedding was so much fun and you were so hilarious and like it made it for a good time. Like I feel like people have me in their weddings just because of the good times that come with it.
Well, everyone needs the instigator. Everyone needs that guy that's just going to, or girl, that's going to be the person that just gets things going.
And eases the tensions.
Yeah.
Eases the stress and eases the tensions. Yes, I am a professional at that when it comes to weddings.
Like my dad's the same way. We're like, he's like a bad or good influence, totally depending on the company.
I don't know so much that's the company. I just know I always feel like with weddings, the first like major one I was in was during I think it was during college or just right after. And it was all of a sudden this like, hey, like you should have Sean in your wedding because like he's fun and he like you said, like makes kind of the tensions ease down a little bit. And I feel like people have me in a wedding just because of that. Sometimes it's like, am I really your friend or am I just here to make sure everybody has a fun time? And my friends who are listening to this that I've been their weddings are going, wait, is he talking about me? But no. So whenever you finally get married, just know that if you want the absolute best reception speech or just like the guy along with your dad to have a tag team partner of like easing the tensions, I'm your man.
Yeah, I mean, like the way that our friendship has progressed, Sean, you might be the best man at that point.
You know what? I will take that. And if we've only met each other twice in person and I am the best man in your wedding, that will forever be in my heart. And I will never, ever forget that.
Absolutely.
And that will forever be in my heart. And he'll never, ever forget that. Oh my, we may have to like stop doing podcasts and me just like try out for movie trailer voiceovers for like the next like 2 days. Cause that's as long as this is going to last.
I mean, it sounds great. Or we could just use you to like make like a bunch of random announcements that we can put in the middle of the show every once in a while.
Yeah. You want me to make an announcement for you?
Go for it.
Let's see here. So by the time this comes out, t-shirt sales will be done. If you bought a Soccer Chat t-shirt, be expecting a phone call from Nick or Sean personally thanking you for buying a Soccer Chat t-shirt.
That was legit. I think that's where we cut it. So Sean.
All right. But we do, if you guys please be waiting on those phone calls. Those will be starting this weekend. So if you have purchased a shirt, thank you so much. Honestly, like it's crazy to us that we're selling t-shirts now. We're selling gimmicks, kids. We're selling gimmicks. But it is, it's not just like going to the t-shirt company's pockets or our pockets. It's really to help improve the podcast, give us better equipment to use, give us the service and to pay for the programs that we use to edit the things. And also, I had somebody tell me on Monday that I can't wait to get to convention and wear I just went to win all the soccer game t-shirts. And that just absolutely makes me smile to know that in Chicago, people are going to be wearing Soccer Chat t-shirts because, we're still trying to get in there. And hopefully we know that they listen to the show. United Soccer Coaches, you want Soccer Chat to happen there. Preferably, I'm not trying to be a beggar, but, preferably on exhibit hall opening night when everybody gets free beer, just let them come over and sit down and crack open a beer and listen to us talk soccer and talk shop with other coaches, because that's what we do every single week for you guys here, because it's all about networking, getting coaches connected. And if you want to connect with us, Nick, how can people connect with you? Via the Twitter.
Best place to reach me is at Coach N Rizzo. Sean, what about you?
On Twitter, he's known as at Coach Soderling. Yeah. I'm on one tonight. I can't help it. I cannot help it. So yeah, he's Coach Enrizo. I'm at Coach Soderling on Twitter. You can join the conversation every single Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Every single Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's hashtag Soccer Chat. Every single week, it's grown leaps and bounds in the last few weeks. Massive shout outs to everybody who's getting on there. Join the conversation. Just search the hashtag Soccer Chat or hit us up at Chat Soccer. No E, so that's SOCCR. A big shout out to the good brothers and sisters and the good folks at Social Media for the High School Athletes. It's because of them that you get this show put out for you for free every single week. You can go back in the archives and not have to pay a premium price and listen to every single show for free because of the good people at Social Media for the High School Athletes. Check them out online, socialstudentathletes.com, or on social media at HS Social Media. Man, podcast, it's everywhere. Apple, Google, Stitcher, iTunes Radio. That is Apple Podcasts. Ugh. I got this. Speaking of the podcast, you can get it everywhere. Apple, Google, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and even what am I forgetting? What am I forgetting now? Oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? I really have to have a list now. Okay, I got it now. I got it. Here we go. Speaking of the podcast, you can get it everywhere now. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and iHeartRadio. It's officially on there now. All you got to do is check out the hashtag Soccer Chat to search for the show, or just go to Chat Soccer and see the links on there where you can go back and check out every single episode, like we said, in the archives for free. This is a listener-supported podcast, so please go on Stitcher and Apple Podcasts and leave us a nice 5-star rating and review. And if you put your Twitter name or email in that review, Nick and I will personally reach out to you and thank you for that review and for listening to the show. It's because of people like you we put this show on every single week for free, and without your support, we wouldn't be able to do that. Because of those 5-star ratings and those reviews, it allows our show to get a bigger audience and to also help us in that listener support podcast. One of the best ways you can support us is by simply using your Facebook, using your Twitter, using your YouTube, using your Instagram, using your Snapchat, using your Tinder. Can you promote the show on Tinder? I have no knowledge of Tinder other than I know it's an app. But I guess you could promote the show that way.
I do not have Tinder. I have no idea.
Well, if you are knowledgeable of Tinder, tell us if you can promote the show on there. So when the shows come out, make sure to put a link in your Twitter, in your Facebook, and tag us. Let your friends know, because that's one of the best ways that you can support us is just by word of mouth and letting all of your friends know that you're listening to the number one, and I'm going to say it, the number one soccer coaching podcast. that's not on the Gary Kerning Network. We love you, Gary. I just had to throw that in there. He's Nick. I'm Sean. And the best part about all this is that we get to do it again next week. Nick, we'll catch you later.
Catch you later, brother.
I literally had to drag that out just to get to 10 minutes.
Oh, really? I didn't realize you were that short.
Yep. Okay, so we'll do the intro real quick and we'll be good.
Cool.
I have no clue what Ian just sent or what anybody has said. I just see it out of the corner of my face.
Wait. Oh, there's an article. There's an FC United coach, and he's coaches the Loyola Girls Academy. It's just like a high school. It's typically pretty good. Is like is being sued for inappropriate comments to high school girls.
No, I'll get you every time.
Yeah, don't do that.
Dummies. Yeah. Okay. Intro. Let me pull this back out so I can see all this. Jiminy Christmas. There we go. Okay. In 3, 2. Is the Woody Woo what it do? Is that a good opener, or do I need to end that before it gets stupid?
I mean, I'm okay with it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to stick with it then. Because it would be cool to kind of do the show, and before I could start, like the whole crowd's like, Woody Woo, what it do? Okay. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Maybe. Woody Woo, what you do? It's your boys, Sean and Nick, here on another episode of Soccer Chat, episode 48, almost to 52, which means that we will have done the show for you for 1 year. For 1 year, 365 days, we have done Soccer Chat. It's crazy to think about, and it would not be possible without you, because this is a listener-supported podcast. You can get this everywhere for free, including the archives on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. So make sure to leave us a 5-star review and a 5-star rating, because you can't leave a 5-star review. It's a 5-star rating. And write a review. Make sure to put your username for your Twitter or your email on there, so that way Nick and I can contact you personally. And thank you for listening to the show. We wouldn't be able to have the show as well if it wasn't for the good people at Social Media for the High School Athletes. Check them out online every single week. Why would you check them out every single week? I'm sucking this tonight. And also, we got to thank everybody at Social Media for the High School Athletes. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to allow you guys to go back and listen to the archives for free every single week. Check them out online at socialstudentathletes.com or on all social media pages at HS Social Media. Like I said, my name is Sean. He is Nick. And we are good brothers. We are soccer coaches. I am a guy that hardly has any voice. This is not what I normally sound like, because thank you to soccer tournaments. Normally the second one is the one that does my throat in, and I'm going to sound like this for probably about 2 weeks or 2 more days. And I'm okay with that, because I think that this voice is kind of sexy. And I feel like this has happened before on the show where I didn't really have a voice. And I'm like, man, like I'm really sounding good at night.
No, I mean, like I've been like just your voice right now is just it's like entrancing every time I hear it. I'm just more and more intrigued about what you're saying.
Well, I'm trying. So as I kind of mentioned, we normally kind of go through what our weekend soccer was like. For myself, I had a tournament with my club team that our club actually hosted. My younger guys, we played well. We had the dreaded 2-0 lead in a game, and we all know what the worst lead to have in a soccer game is. And unfortunately, we lost that one 3-2. But I thought the boys played well in that first half, and we just made some small mistakes in the second half that led to some way wide open shots that we shouldn't have. My older guys, we won the tournament, and man, I think I'm just so used to the showcase format, and I don't know how much you can speak on this, Nick, but with that showcase format of one game on Friday, one game on Saturday, one game on Sunday, and then to go to a tournament with a group of 16-year-olds and play 2 games on Saturday and 2 games on Sunday, and that's including the championship, and seeing how freaking tired the teams are. Like, I could see, like, on my team, I could see a little bit of it on the Sunday morning game because we played 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, and then again at 2:45 Saturday, and then Sunday morning we played at 11. I think it was 10:45 or 11, one of those two, and then in the finals again at like 2:30. And man, on Sunday morning, the kids from all the teams were just dog tired, and it may have been because the sun was out and all that. But man, I really kind of like the showcase format now.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, even the showcase format, when you get to those Sunday games, they're typically getting pretty low quality. Because people, at some point, your body's not meant to be able to play that many minutes of sports in that short of a span of time.
And especially when they make the finals on Sunday longer than the previous 3 games that you've just played in under 24 hours.
And like, how many people are traveling 22 kids on a club team? Like, what do you guys travel?
We're only allowed 18. You can only address 18.
Yeah. So like at the very minimum, probably, I mean, at the very minimum, like 4 people are going pretty long minutes every single one of those games.
Yeah. And it was kind of funny because we have, we've got some guys who have really good stamina on our older team. And even some of them, like during the games, like, hey, can I come out for like 10 minutes? Like I just need a time off. And it's so crazy to think about, like 4 games in 48 hours. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no, it's way too much. It goes back to, I feel like I quote this guy all the time, but I listen to him talk all the time. But Gino Rama talks a bunch about how it is such a weird concept in the United States where we almost play more than we practice. And it becomes a situation where we were talking about this with our guest before we air later. And me and him were talking about the fact that even in championship football in England, they play something like 42 games or 46 games. And even in 9 months, that's still so many games. Like most of it, we were joking about it. Like they're like on rest days, like they're on the beach more than they're practicing soccer at that point.
Yeah. Well, I would totally trade for that. I would gladly sign up for that. Yeah, I just, I've never really thought about it, just because, like, I think last year we just did we did the same tournament, but we didn't have like we had a showcases most of the time, but and it didn't even like dawn on me because I think we played a Friday night game in our tournament last year. But man, just like it made, kind of like you said, like it made for a sloppy finals game. We got to play against the second team from our club in the finals, and man, both all 36 kids involved in the game were dog tired. I mean, and I was telling the guys too, I was like, man, you guys are so tired. I'm like, no, we're not. Like, we're still running. I was like, no, look at your shots. Like, I can tell a kid is physically tired by the shots that they take. And I was like, just look, like there's like maximum effort just to swing your leg into the shot, and the shots aren't even going anywhere. So yeah, I'm, obviously, and I gave him Monday off, but Tuesday kids were still tired, and it just made me really think, like, man, like I knew I loved the showcase format before, but I really love it even more now, just because even when we do the showcases, like my kids are not that tired because they get proper time off. They get proper time, not even proper time off, but like good enough time to recover and get a recovery session in, and then like, play again 12 hours later. But man, that's 3 games in what, 72 hours?
Yeah.
So, 3 games, 72 hours, or 4 games in under 48. So like you be the judge. That's crazy, and that's insane. And that's I can understand tournaments for like little kids. How about that? Yeah, actually, I was talking to one of our coaches about this on Monday night. I can understand the tournament format for your younger ages, your 9v9s, your 7v7s, maybe even like that first year of 11v11, whatever that is, 13 or 14, whatever. But like for the older kids, like the high school age kids, like you got to go to a one game a day setup. You just have to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely gets to the point where you're getting diminishing margins of returns in those last few games.
Yeah. So one of the last things I kind of want to talk to you about, since we got a little bit of time before we get into the interview, and people are going, man, like they've been talking so much already, but we're under our time currently. A couple big things these last couple of weeks that we didn't get to talk about last week. First thing was we mentioned that, you know, Nick and I went to Indianapolis. What I did not mention that I totally got in trouble for was that Jacob Smith and I were downtown Indianapolis having some fun on Cinco de Mayo and ran into my mother and her friends just by chance. That wasn't planned. It wasn't set up. It just happened by chance that I drove 9 hours, or I drove the 7 hours to Indy. And then my mom drove the 2 hours up to Indy, and we just happened to be there. So I have to give a shout out to my mom and her friends, the Yayas, because for whatever reason, they listened to the show and they were like, make sure to give us a shout out on Soccer Chat. Well, here's a shout out. Shout outs. But the big things that's kind of happened in soccer the last couple of weeks is change in NCAA recruiting, massive change, especially in the Division I level, and a bunch of clubs leaving the Development Academy and going to ECNL. What are your thoughts on either one of those topics, young Nick?
I'm interested for both of them. I don't think I'll go with the NCAA one first. It'll be interesting because the purpose, it seems like, is to make recruiting start a little bit later with the official visits and everything. And it'll be interesting to see how it affects what the trickle down effect is. Like how does it end up affecting coaches like me at the Division III level, where now there's going to be kids that are probably making decisions a little bit later because they're restricting the amount of communication that they can have at a younger age group with who they're talking to and things like that. It'll be interesting to see how many kids are still left on the table now when they're getting into their late junior year, which typically now it's most of the juniors that are going to higher Division I programs. They've been done for a little bit, where it'll be interesting to see what it looks like this time next year with the exact same kids.
And it's crazy how there is a trickle-down effect because of what they change at the Division I level affects those at D2, D3, NAIA, and junior college.
Yeah. No, that'll be the most interesting thing. I'll be interested to see how a rule change that has nothing to do with the way that we go about recruiting affects the way we have to go about recruiting. And with the DA ECNL thing, I don't think too many people are probably that surprised, if we're being honest. I mean, were you that surprised that so many programs are starting to go back to the ECNL?
You know, for me, I think I've been kind of split on it because, like, I have an amount of friends who coach in DA. I have an amount of friends that coach in ECNL, and I have an amount of friends in ECNL who wish their team was their DA, and I have an amount of DA coaching friends who are like, oh, like, we wish we could go ECNL. So I think for me, it's kind of split down. Like if you were to take like all my friends and put them in a timeline, I think it would be split. That said, I agree with you. I don't think too many people are surprised that clubs are starting to leave, but I also think that maybe it's the best thing for the Development Academy because it shows that the system still kind of needs to be tinkered with a little bit. And I think what's the biggest surprise to me is the reason why, or at least what I've read, and I may be incorrect, but a lot of the teams are leaving DA because their kids want to go play high school.
Yep. And I think, I mean, again, outside of that 1% of 1%, kids are looking for experience. Even a very, very small percentage of Division I players are going to go professional. So I don't think that it's necessarily a bad system, having the DA part of it. But again, I think it's for a smaller percentage of actual kids. And so it was just always going to be a little bit more difficult for them to completely draw people away from the ECNL because, again, the issue I think that, and again, there's a lot of people that have much more knowledge than me about this, but the issue I always saw with it was we were already taking a diluted system with, I mean, you start from just the state club level to the MRL level to the ECNL level and then you have ODP and you have all these other things that are going on. It's already a pretty diluted system. ECNL, that's when they used to have those events before the women's DA. Everyone knew where to go watch the players that they wanted to watch if you're recruiting for a top level Division I school. Now it's like, all right, well, do I have to go to the DA event or do I go to the ECNL event? Do I go to both? And like, where does everything else fall? And so I think that was where it was always going to be difficult because you were just going to have all these different conflicts that were going to arise between coaches, between clubs, between everything, and between big organizations.
And how much of it too, my last question here for you is how much of that leaving DA to go back to ECNL or leaving ECNL to go to DA, how much all of that is ego driven? Because if you think about like in soccer, how many things start up because of the ego of one other person, and so this other thing starts, and then people start seeing it, and then they start joining it, and because it's the big new thing, and then all of a sudden the egos take over there, and people want to go back to where they were, or they want to start something new.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually talking with this, but we had a parent recruit on campus on Saturday. I was talking to this about.
You're recruiting parents now, aren't they a little bit out of eligibility for you?
He was just with his daughter, but he had coached club a little bit, and so we were just kind of talking about the system, and it's crazy. I looked this up the other day, and in Illinois for the 2000 age group, this doesn't include ECNL teams. This doesn't include DA teams. There was 84 different teams, like, and not unique. Like it would have like one team and then their second team, but there were 84 unique groups of players that were playing in the state of Illinois. And that's so many teams. Like I can't, like, that's crazy to me.
That's absolutely insane and incredible. Awesome interview coming up this week. I think you're going to like it. I think it's one of the best produced ones that we've done, but you're going to like it. And it's coming up right after this.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
One of the things, don't let me forget, in the show on Wednesday, I'd come up with a few new ideas for T-shirt ideas for our next ones.
Okay.
Unless you have specific ideas.
I was just thinking about it today. I haven't like put anything together, but I've kind of thought about some. The only other, so I made two. I made like just want to win all the soccer games, and then I did one that it says something about like join me on soccer chat, whatever, and the people can actually write their Twitter handle on the shirt.
Oh, nice. So the ones I have come up with is the first one I had was, have you ever seen the Saturdays Are for the Boys shirts?
Yes.
I was gonna have one that we should just have the initials WAFTC. Wednesdays are for the coaches.
Wednesdays are for the oh, well, why can't we just write out like Wednesdays are for the coaches?
Oh, like what they normally do that, but like on like the t-shirts they'll have like the WAFTC, and then they'll have like Saturdays are for the boys, the initials, and then below it they'll have like what it actually means.
Okay, I was gonna say, because like I've seen ones where it's like it's just like a plain t-shirt and just says Saturdays are for the boys.
Yeah, like you can have those. The ones I've seen like have it like, or even like on the back they'll say WAFTC, or they'll have SAFTB, and on the front it'll say Saturdays are for the boys. But I thought that one might be a decent one.
I like that. Wednesdays are for the coaches.
Yeah, just because like it promotes what we're trying to do and stuff too.
Yeah.
I had another one that I came up with. It just has I train set pieces, and with one box saying a box and then yes, and then another box that says no.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So like those, and then like I had another one like where I drew them out, and it was like it was just a bunch of phrases that parents say during the things, and have a big X through it, and then boot it with Don Crow like as a quote off of it right afterwards.
Oh yes.
So it'd be like have like offsides, yellow card, foul, and then like have those all crossed out, and then like above it just have like boot it, Don Crow.
I'm highly impressed.
I'm more creative than I give off sometimes.
I'm very impressed. I okay. Selfishly, the set pieces one may be my favorite.
It's a pretty good one, right?
I do like that. We had a coaches meeting night for